Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Erica, and today I have a really exciting collab video for you. So 20 booktubers are all getting together to film this really awesome collab. Beccie at Bex Reads put this together for everybody. The collab is our favorite female badasses, and I'm so excited to share all my recs with you today. I'll have everyone's channels linked down below for you to check out. And let's jump into this video. The first recommendation I have for you is a book I just finished, and that is Beyond the Thistles by Samantha Young. So this is a romantic suspense about a single mom who her father's daughter is really just not into good things. He's really in a bad crowd. He's into a lot of illegal things. So she is going to be evicted from her apartment. So she goes to him to ask him for some money for child support for her and her daughter so they don't get evicted. While she's there is a confrontation and she ends up getting shot, and she ends up taking off with this girl that he had there at his place, and she like testifies against him and he ends up going to jail. So then she moves to Scotland to kind of get away from him and to start over. And it's with this girl's family. They like offer her a job for saving her in Scotland. So she's living there with her daughter, and she is doing really great. Like, she really knows how to stand up for herself, and she's being a single mom and all of that. There's this security guard / bodyguard that works at the hotel that she is cleaning at, and she's always kind of had a thing for him. And all of a sudden, things keep happening to our main character. Her name is Sloane. And yeah, things keep happening to her, and they have a feeling it's her ex. He's been released from prison, and he's coming after her. So our main love interest decides that he's going to be her bodyguard and keeps her and her daughter safe, or is supposed to keep her and her daughter safe. But the reason why she made my list as a badass female character is because she's keeping herself safe. Not once did this man really save her. She saves herself every single time. And yeah, she got herself out of so many situations, her daughter out of a situation. Like, she's definitely a badass. She has a bodyguard, but she didn't even need the bodyguard, to be honest. She really, really knew how to stand up for herself. And I was so happy to see her have a happily ever after with this bodyguard. I really, really enjoyed this book overall. I ended up giving it 4 stars, but Sloane is definitely a badass female character. So that is my first recommendation. My next recommendation is actually going to be Hermione Granger from Manacled, also from the Harry Potter series, but specifically in Manacled. Manacled is a fanfic, if you don't know, a Harry Potter fanfic, and it is basically Hermione, which is Draco and Hermione. Harry Potter meets the Handmaid's Tale, and it's as if Voldemort won the war, and he's starting like a repopulation effort to get some purebred wizards. So Hermione gets given to Draco to try to repopulate the wizards. And this is a very, very dark read, just so you know. Look up trigger warnings. It's really dark. It's really bleak. So just know that going in. But Hermione never gave up hope. She was literally locked and imprisoned in darkness for years and years, and she still makes it out. And she's such a strong character. She gets so broken down, but she comes back every single time, and she'll fight every single time. And then, yeah, I mean, I don't want to give spoilers away, but towards the end, like, she has had every reason to be broken and not there, but she still is doing what she needs to do, and she's still fighting against what's wrong. And I really love that. She was a badass fighting in the war, even though they lost it. And yeah, Hermione in the original series, but really, really in Manacled, is such a badass female character, and I really, really love her character. The next book I have to talk to you about is Dowry of Blood, and this is a Dracula reimagining, and I think it's actually like Dracula's Brides, and it talks about Dracula being an abusive partner, and our main female character, I think her name is Costanza. I have a hard time saying her name, but I think that's how it's pronounced. And so she is in this relationship with Dracula. He's abusive, and it's awful, but she's a badass because she gets herself out, and you're basically following her through her letters that she's writing to Dracula. And I can't tell you too much about why I think she's such a badass character because it would be spoilers, but you follow her through this like really dark and abusive relationship, and she is just a fighter. She really just stands up for herself after years and years of abuse, and when she should be so broken down, she finds a way. So I really, really love this book overall. I think it's one of my favorite books of all time. Now I have The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is a series that I've just been binging. I only have the last one left to read, but we have our main character, Cassie. This is like a YA Criminal Minds is how it's pitched, and that's like a perfect explanation for it. It's following Cassie, who is a natural. She has a natural gift for profiling people, and she gets brought into this program with the FBI, which is a bunch of other naturals. They're all teenagers, and they all have like a really bad home life, and they're brought into this FBI program to train to become detectives someday. So Cassie is a profiler. There's another profiler. There's someone who's like a human lie detector, someone that can read emotions, and someone that's like extremely good with numbers and statistics. And they have this really good like found family thing going on, and there's an overarching plot, but then there's mysteries in each book too, and it's really, really great. So Cassie is a badass female character because first of all, she's 17. This is not a spoiler, but she saw her, well, she didn't see her mom murdered. She came into her mom's dressing room one day and there's blood everywhere and her mom is missing. So she had like that trauma. And also she is a badass because she's a natural profiler and she's helping solve these cases and saving people's lives. So I really love Cassie. I think she's really, really resilient. And like I said, she's 17, which makes it, it makes it a little bit unbelievable, but also just really freaking cool that she's a 17-year-old girl and she's out here solving serial killer cases and cold cases and active cases and she literally saves a little girl's life in the novel because she solves a case. And that's not a spoiler. That's kind of like a side thing that happens early on. So yeah, I just really, really think Cassie's a badass, and I really, really love this series. If you want a fun, like kind of mystery YA series that you'll fly through, this is definitely it. My next badass female character is Elwyn from Fear the Flames. So this is about Princess Elwyn, who's born to this king and she's bonded to 5 dragons at birth, and this king sees that as a huge threat. So he imprisons her, and she's in prison for like 10 years and is going through awful abuse in her father's prison. And then eventually she escapes and she goes and she creates her own kingdom, which is badass in itself. And then she ends up meeting up with Cady, who is a commander for her father's enemy. And so it's kind of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend situation. So they team up to go steal her dragons back. And also in doing that, they think they'll be able to like overthrow her father's kingdom if she has control of her dragons again. And so all of that is badass as it is, but also Elwyn can hold her own. She can fight as good as any man in this book, and she doesn't ever need a man to save her. She saves herself, and she even gets drugged at one point in this book and still kicks ass. Like, she is really just a skilled fighter. At 10 years old, she escaped her father's prison. She's the definition of a badass. She's bonded to 5 dragons. That's badass. So she is like a real traditional fantasy badass. So I really, really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 overall. I did have some problems with the pacing, but overall the story was really, really good. And Elwyn is a really, really great main character, and the romance between Cady and Elwyn is really great too. I really, really enjoyed that. And Cady never takes away from her being a badass. So I love that aspect of it too. So that is Elwyn from Fear the Flames. Next, I have a book that is really, really blown up, and that is The Serpent in the Wings of Night. So I feel like everyone knows what this is, but basically it gets pitched as Vampire Hunger Games, and we're following Araya, who is a human who gets adopted by this vampire lord or king. And every year there's this competition all the vampires get to do this competition, kind of like Hunger Games, and whoever wins the competition gets a wish granted from the goddess Nyaxia. So Araya wants to enter this competition so she can get a wish. And so she's a human and she's fighting all these vampires. She's trained basically her whole life to do this competition, and she really, really holds her own, even though she has so many disadvantages being a human in a vampire competition. Obviously, it's extremely dangerous because they're vampires and they want to kill her, and she really just holds her own through this whole book. She kicks ass the whole way through, and I love this book. It's definitely going to be in one of my top books of the year. I love Aurea as a main character. Not only she is a badass, but she's just a great character overall, and the romance in here is really, really cute too. I know that's not what we're really talking about in this video. So yeah, that is Aurea, and she's 100% a badass. Okay, now I have a badass for like a different reason. That is Shannon from Binding 13. Now this might be a weird pick for some people, but I think she's a badass because she goes through so much as a child and as a teenager, and she's still just here and doing her best and trying to take care of her siblings, and that to me is badass. So if you don't know what this book is about, this is about Shannon. I think she's like 15 in the start of the book, but she has been bullied her whole life at school, and not only has she been bullied her whole life, but she also lives in an extremely abusive household with an alcoholic father, and she has all of these siblings, older and younger, and the home life is just really, really poor, and on top of being bullied all the time. So she ends up going to this new school, and at that new school, she ends up getting hit in the head by a rugby ball by our hero, Johnny, and it's a complete accident. She has to go to the nurse, and she ends up getting a concussion. Her mom doesn't believe that it's an accident, but Johnny swears it is. So through that, Johnny and Shannon kind of become friend, and he's just really drawn to her, and he wants to be there for her, even though he also doesn't want to, because he's really, really focused on his rugby career, and he's really going to make it big with rugby. But this is a really long book, and there's 2 of them, so obviously a lot happens, but so much stuff happens to Shannon in this book that I don't even know how she got the strength to stand up and keep going every single day. So that in itself is badass to me. The fact that she's gone through so much in her life and she's still just going is amazing. These books are really hard to read, and they're sad, but I love this story so much, and I think everyone should really give it a try if you like romance and emotional stories. This one hits hard, and yeah, I really, really think Shannon is a badass. So those are the recommendations I have to give to you today about all my favorite female badass characters. I think it's really, really easy to find badass characters in fantasy romance, especially in fantasy books. So I wanted to give you a couple contemporaries too to mix it up. Those are my recommendations. I had so much fun doing this collab. I will have everyone down below. Please go check out their videos. I will talk to you soon. Bye.